Today I'm talking about self-sabotage, right? It's such a big thing. I hear clients coming up and saying it all the time, and not just clients, just everyday people, why do I always self-sabotage? Why do I do this and then go and do that? So an example, why do I go and work out at the gym? Because that's in my values, and then I come home and I think, oh well, I deserve that little bit of chocolate cake. It's not going to do me any harm now. Or you might say, you've snapped at somebody, you've snapped at someone and then you go and be really nice to them. Yeah, so it's the opposite way around. You're going to have to make up for it. But what that actually is something much deeper. It's a psychological pattern and it's called moral licensing, right? Now, that's not giving us permission to go and continue in our habits, but it gives you an insight, and when you get insights, you're empowered and you can make better choices. So it's all about, your mind. This moral licensing keeps a scorecard, if you like. So it's like, well, I've earned this, or I was good, now I can be a little bit bad. Now your psychology is going to try and do that. It's going to keep that balance, but once you're aware of it, you can make better decisions, because it's a little bit sneaky, right? But some of our psychological traits as humans are a little bit sneaky, but we have to keep on top of that, because here's the problem. What happens is that little bit sneakiness today builds up into double tomorrow, and then more the next day, and more the next day, and before you know, that's crept into our health, it's our relationships, our finances, because of that moral balancing, and we feel as if we're not getting anywhere, but that's a real phenomenon. So what are we actually going to do about it? Well, the first step is awareness, right? Be aware of that there is this thing. So then you can say, well, wait a minute, I actually realize now I just went to the gym and now I want that chocolate cake. You can recognize that it's moral licensing and you can make a better decision. You can ask yourself, does that align with the values that took me to the gym in the first place? There might be, well, I meditated this morning, so I'm just going to lay in bed all day and watch Netflix. Well, you ask yourself, okay, well, that thought that you're believing, I've now got permission to do this because I did that. You have to look at, well, what were my values in the first place where I was meditating? What are the values when I chose the healthy eating? What were the values when I decided to get into fitness? And then ask yourself, does this new decision I'm making align with those values? Or is this the moral licensing kicking in? Is the scorecard kicking in? And just shining some awareness on that can make a massive difference. And then you can ask yourself, so it's awareness. And then it's, is that choice aligned with my original values, with my original action? And then also, what would true integrity feel like right now in this moment if I aligned with my values and not the moral licensing scorecard? Now, if you've noticed that pattern in your life, don't beat yourself up. We're all human. We all do it. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about awareness in each moment. It's for me, it's the opening the fridge. Okay, well, I got up this morning, I did my exercise, and now I can open the fridge. But when you've got that awareness, you can stop yourself in your tracks and realize what it is, because there's a different energy, right? If you are opening the fridge and you're taking a bite and you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but then guilt kicks in. And then when the guilt kicks in, you want to eat so that you can avoid the feelings of guilt, right? But if you replace that feeling of guilt and self-sabotage and the thoughts around, well, why can't I do this? Why am I always self-sabotaging? If you can replace that with, well, wait a minute, that's actually not me self-sabotaging myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy or I'm broken. It's just this psychological phenomenon called, or psychological pattern called moral licensing. And therefore, well, actually, no, I don't want to swing over. I'm going to close the door and I'm going to make a better choice. So hopefully that has given you just a little bit of insight on how to accept yourself a little bit more and to stop beating yourselves up about self-sabotage. There's no need for it. We don't have to be walking around in guilt all the time, but hopefully, we can just be aware of that and make better choices in the now. Thank you very much.